Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we are taking a relook at the 2020 NHL Draft. We're going to review the top 10 draft picks and my opinion on if they will be playing in the NHL next year. We'll be going 10 to 1. Which ones are going to be playing next year in their rookie NHL seasons? We'll be taking a look at that in today's video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below, and let's take a look at who may be potentially playing in the NHL next season. Alright, so as usual, guys, before we get too far into this video, I want to give a quick plug to our Instagram and Twitter handles at goalline_hockey. Links will be in the description down below. And make sure to check out our Patreon for a weekly podcast every Thursday night where we talk about the latest news around the league. This past week, we talked a lot about the reverse retro jerseys, which will be released this week, which is pretty exciting. It actually may be released by the time you're watching this video. It may be released today. So this coming Thursday, we will probably, more than likely, absolutely be talking about those new jerseys. So stay tuned for that. All right, so with that out of the way, guys, let's take a look at the top 10 draft picks from the 2020 NHL Draft and my opinion on if they will play in the NHL this season or not. So we're going to start things off up in Winnipeg, as you have the 10th overall pick going to the Winnipeg Jets, and it was Cole Perfetti. Cole Perfetti was a pretty solid prospect last year. He played very well with the Saginaw Spirit of the OHL. He's 18 years old, all right? He's under 6 feet, and he's 177 pounds, so he's on the smaller side. I wouldn't be shocked if he got into the Jets lineup. I think it's a long shot, but based off of what he did the last two seasons in the OHL, 74 points, 111 points last season, it's hard to argue what else does he have to show in the OHL. And it's also something to keep in mind that because he's in the OHL, he cannot play with the AHL's Manitoba Moose. So that's another factor. So he's either going back to the CHL to just dominate and maybe put up 200 points, or he's going to be playing in the NHL. And I'm going with the assumption he will be playing with the Winnipeg Jets next season. I think, like I said, he has nothing left to gain in Saginaw at this point. He's a well-rounded player overall. He has so much talent. He may have to put on a little bit of size, and that may be the one factor why he goes back to Saginaw. But besides that, this kid is ready to go in the NHL. I think it's a long shot, but I wouldn't be shocked if we see Cole Perfetti with the Jets next season. So at number 9, we take a look at the Minnesota Wild as they select Marco Rossi, who played in the OHL, same league as Cole Perfetti. Marco Rossi is a center. He's 19 years old, so he's a little bit older than Cole Perfetti, and he dominated the last two seasons in the OHL. 65 points in his first season, 120 points in the OHL with the Ottawa 67s last season. 120 points. This kid is good. And like Cole Perfetti, there's an argument to be made that he has nothing left to gain in the OHL. He's 19 years old. He's a little bit older, but his size is an issue. He's only 5'9". He's a little bit bigger in terms of weight than Cole Perfetti. He's almost 190 pounds. But even with that, there is still the assumption that Marco Rossi is not NHL ready yet. And I think I think he's more ready than Cole Perfetti. But based off of the Wild situation, there's a spot where he may make an argument at training camp. It's going to be a little bit closer, in my opinion, than Cole Perfetti, but I do not think he will be playing in the NHL next season. He's playing right now with the Zurich Lions in the Swiss League. I expect him to spend the season there. He'll be playing with men. We've seen Austin Matthews do this in the past as well as other guys, so this is no real surprise. He'll probably play in Europe this year. He'll play with men, and then he will be developed enough next season. He'll be 20 years old. Hopefully put on a couple of pounds, maybe get above 190, and he'll be ready to go. I think next season we'll see Marco Rossi with the Wild, specifically with their lack of depth down the center. but not this season for Marco Rossi. At number 8, we have the Buffalo Sabres. As the Buffalo Sabres selected at number 8, Jack Quinn. Jack Quinn, the Ontario native, 19 years old, 6 feet, 176 pounds. And he spent 3 seasons in the OHL, 32 points and 89 points last season. That's why his draft stock rose significantly last season, the 8th overall pick this year. There's a lot of excitement around what we could see from Jack Quinn. And I think this is a guy that with the Buffalo Sabres lineup, they see themselves as a win-now team. So, again, this is kind of like Marco Rossi, where you could potentially see him slip into the lineup. He may be a late cut at training camp, but I don't think Jack Quinn will make the Buffalo Sabres roster next season. So now at number 7, we have the New Jersey Devils, as they have Alexander Holtz. Alexander Holtz is a name to keep an eye on. He's 18 years old, 5'11", 181 pounds. This is a guy, he's a right winger, and again, he's been playing in the Swedish league, the SHL, with Djurgårdens over the past couple of seasons. Put up 16 points last year. He's got 7 points in 11 games this year, so he's got 7 points. He's doing all right, but the question is this going to work? I think with where the Devils are right now, they've got some guys already that are kind of in that limbo spot where you've got the Miles Woods, the Brett Seeneys, the Jesper Bratts, in that bottom 6, Pavel Zacha, Michael McLeod. I think they want, Ryan Merkley. I think they want to see what those guys have this year, and I think a guy like Alexander Holtz is going to have to wait another season. He's already playing in the SHL. He's been playing with men. I think next season he will be more than ready to play in the NHL. I was on the fence. I actually put on here that I think he'll play with the Devils. I've started to change my mind. I think next season he will continue to play here in the SHL with Djurgården, and next season we will see Alexander Holtz play in the NHL. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the more ready players out of the gate in his rookie season, potentially a Calder finalist for Rookie of the Year. So in 2 years from now, keep an eye on Alexander Holtz, a very prolific goal scorer, one of the best goal scorers in this draft. I would keep my eye on Alexander Holtz over the next couple of years. So the Anaheim Ducks, with the 6th overall pick, right shot defenseman, Jamie Drysdale. Drysdale will not be playing in the NHL next season. That is a for sure thing for me. The Ontario native from Toronto, 5'11", 170 pounds, so he's a little bit on the smaller side. He put up 47 points in 49 games last season with the Erie Otters, which as a defenseman, almost a point per game, is pretty impressive. But we've seen that he has had issues on the defensive side of things, and I think he's going to continue that this season with Erie. He needs to work on the defensive side of his game. He has to be a more well-rounded defenseman, playing better in his own end. Once he gets a little bit better with that, he puts on a little bit of size. He weighs around the same, he weighs around the same amount as much as me, around the same weight. That's not a good thing if you want to play in the NHL. So Jamie Drysdale has got to put on a little bit of size, like I said, and work on his defensive game, and then he'll be ready to play in the NHL. It's going to take a little bit longer for him to develop. Defensemen always take longer to develop, but an offensive defenseman in particular, especially with the NHL game, he needs to develop a little bit longer. I think it was a long shot by Bob Murray taking him at 6, but he kind of fell into his lap. He was projected to go, in the top 3 potentially, or even number 4. So it was a good move by the Ducks, but he will take a little bit longer to develop. So now that moves us up to the 5th overall pick, where we have the Ottawa Senators, and the other defenseman here in the top 10 is left shot defenseman Jake Sanderson. He's 18 years old, 6'2", 185 pounds. This is a good hockey player, and I think he's more, in terms of frame, ready, more equipped to play in the NHL. But there is the factor that he's a defenseman. And I think he's going to continue to develop next season in the USHL. He put up 14 points last season in 19 games. So he's been able to put up points, again, kind of like Jamie Drysdale. It's a different league with the USHL. But he played very well in the US under 18 team. So expect to keep an eye on Jake Sanderson. The Ottawa Senators, this is a guy where I don't think he will play with the Senators next season because he's a defenseman. But I would not be at all shocked if the Senators decide at training camp They really like what he does. He has a really good training camp. And maybe some of those older guys on the defense don't look so good for the Senators. Maybe he sneaks into that third pair role next year for the Ottawa Senators. But based off of their roster, I think it's a long shot. Jake Sanderson will not play with the Senators next season. All right, so now we move up into the top 4 as the Detroit Red Wings. I know they're disappointed that they didn't draft in the top 3 at the very least. But Lucas Raymond at number 4 is not a bad bet. He's a left winger, right shot, so he can play both sides. 4th overall, 5'10", 161 pounds. Immediately, he is a smaller guy. He weighs less than me. So, I know, that's a weird comparison, but that's something to keep an eye on. He doesn't have that NHL frame yet. He has to bulk up a little bit. He's been playing in the SHL with Frölunda for the past couple of seasons, kind of like Alexander Holtz. He's had experience with playing with the big boys, playing with older guys, not playing with guys his age. So that's an advantage for Lucas Raymond. But like I said, his size is going to be a factor. He's put up 10 points the last 2 seasons in Frölunda, so he's a good player. And I think one of those guys that the Red Wings are really hoping, I think they've taken a lot of good Swedish players. That's just the culture of the Red Wings. Franzen, Zetterberg, Lidstrom. You know, they have a history of having good Swedish players. I think that continues here with Lucas Raymond. And Steve Yzerman sticking to that Red Wings culture. Unfortunately, though, I do not think he makes the roster next season, and especially another rebuilding, kind of a tank year, I would think, for the Red Wings. I do not want to see Lucas Raymond in that situation. I think they keep him on the sidelines next year, keep him overseas with Frölunda. At number 3, into the top 3, guys, as we are looking at the other top pick for the Ottawa Senators. Left wing centerman Tim Stützle. He's 18 years old, 6'1", 187 pounds. He put up 34 points last season in the DEL with the Mannheim Eagles. I think he's going to make the roster for the Ottawa Senators, and they've signed him to his contract. He's already let us know his number 18. So that sounds a lot like he will be going, at the very least, be going to training camp for the Senators. I think they're going to like what they see in this 3rd overall pick. And the lack of depth for the Senators, I think, could give him a chance. Unless the Senators want to see what they have left in a guy like Logan Brown, Philip Chalapik, Josh Norris. If they want to see more minutes for those guys, Stützle will spend another season in the DEL. If not, we will see Tim Stützle make the lineup next year and playing potentially in that middle 6 right off the bat with the Ottawa Senators. So I'm going with the bet that he will play with the Senators, but there is the potential that he does not. But my opinion, I think that he will be on the opening night roster for the Senators. So at number 2, guys, this is probably the easiest. These top 2, it's pretty easy for me. And I think a lot of people have made the argument that Quinton Byfield of the Los Angeles Kings should go back to Sudbury. I think that is an awful decision. I think there's arguments to be made for it, but I really think that is not the best situation for Quinton Byfield at this point. He's 6'4", 215 pounds, the 2nd overall pick. This kid's ready for the NHL, guys. He's got the frame. He's got the size, 215 pounds. This kid's a heavyweight, and I think he's ready for the NHL. He's put up 61 points in his first season in the OHL, 82 points last season. He's from Newmarket, Ontario. He's a hockey boy. He is ready for the NHL. Guys, don't send him back to the OHL. At this point, I think it would be a hamperance on his development if he stays. You develop bad habits when you dominate the league, and I think we're going to see that if he goes back to Sudbury next season. And to be honest, the LA Kings need some center depth. They need some forward help in general, so I think Quinton Byfield jumping in would definitely help that. He is very young, which is a concern, especially with a big market city like Los Angeles. There's a lot going on in Los Angeles nowadays. It's always been that way, but it's definitely going to be a big spotlight for the young Quinton Byfield. But as long as he can handle that, I think he's ready for the NHL next year. As long as he's mature, doesn't get into too much trouble out there in LA, he will be a really good pickup for the Kings. And like I said, I think you start to develop bad habits. I think he's going to easily win puck battles in the corners, easily win net front battles in the OHL, and it's going to hamper his development. Like I said, develop bad habits. I think it's best that he goes to the LA Kings next season. And this is the easiest choice because we got the first overall pick, as the New York Rangers selected left winger Alexis Lafreniere. This is a no-brainer. Alexis Lafreniere will be playing with the New York Rangers. And it's going to be interesting because the Rangers are absolutely stacked in their forward group. They had to move out Lias Andersson because of that. And I think Alexis Lafreniere makes the roster next year. He's 19 years old, 6'2", 200 pounds. You know the deal. He's a big boy. He's going to be ready to play in the NHL next year. He had 112 points last season in the QMJHL with the Rimouski Oceanic. He's going to be ready for the NHL next year. No surprises here. He's probably going to play in the middle six, I would think, between the second and third line, depending on what happens with Pavel Buchnevich. That's going to have a lot to do with where Lafreniere ends up. But I think by the end of the year, he will be in the top six for the New York Rangers. He may start on the young line with guys like Vitaly Kravtsov, possibly Brett Howden, Philip Hedl. So, it's a good situation for Alexis Lafreniere there in New York. I think he's going to be a big piece for this Rangers team, and it's a no-brainer. He'll be in David Quinn's starting lineup for the New York Rangers next season. So, guys, let me know in the comment section down below, which of these 10 players do you think will be in the starting lineup for their respective teams in the 2021 NHL season? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.